Landlords in New York are still fighting to end the state's eviction moratorium. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have another update for you about the New York State eviction moratorium. Now, it looks like landlords up in New York State are suing again to stop the new eviction moratorium put in place by New York's new governor. You know, it looks like it's just a bad situation overall. You know, after the last eviction moratorium up there was basically ripped apart by the Supreme Court, the new governor comes in and she just basically rewrites the exact same thing and, basically left landlords screwed. Left them screwed. There's no easier way for me to say it. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know, do you think the new eviction moratorium in New York State is any different than the original one? It doesn't really change anything. It puts the burden of proving that the tenant actually isn't eligible for rental assist or for the eviction moratorium. It puts that burden onto the landlord, and that really isn't helpful at all because the landlord can, face all sorts of penalties for, saying something that might or might not be true. So, this article comes from wealthmanagement.com, and it says, New York landlords seek to suspend extension of eviction freeze. So, let's see what the article says. New York landlords sued to block a law extending the state's moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, warning of devastating consequences to small property owners if it's allowed to go forward. New York's biggest landlord group, the Rent Stabilization Association of New York City, and 5 small landlords are seeking a preliminary injunction to suspend the law, which Governor Kathy Hochul signed last month while the case proceeds. The law, which aims to support New Yorkers who have suffered financial losses due to the COVID-19 pandemic, extended the moratorium through January 15th of 2022. It also increased the amount of hardship funds available to tenants and landlords to $250 million from $100 million and created a $25 million fund for legal services for renters facing evictions. So yeah, they did provide more rental assistance money, but that doesn't help the landlords who have tenants in their units who aren't eligible for the rental assistance. So what it does is it places this huge burden on landlords where they can't evict these tenants. The tenants aren't eligible for rental assistance, and there's nothing they can do except for sit around and wait until the eviction moratorium ends, which now is going to be in January of 2022. And believe me, okay, it has been my opinion since the beginning. You end something in the middle of winter and they're going to immediately extend it because they don't want people to be thrown out into the cold. Well, that's what they're going to say at least, okay? So this thing will not be over in January 2022, and this has to be thrown out. It needs to get up to the Supreme Court. It needs to be thrown out, okay? Because these landlords are not going to ever be able to get rid of these tenants if something doesn't happen pretty soon. And New York has been absolutely awful about it. I was surprised when they didn't extend the state eviction moratorium in California. I thought for sure California would do it, but no. They actually let it expire. And, I realize that New York probably is the most tenant-friendly place in the entire country after I saw that happen, okay? These plaintiffs and other New York small property owners are once again facing devastating consequences that compound with each passing day and can never be remedied later, the landlord group said in a court filing Friday. The individual plaintiffs claim personal hardship from the inability to evict tenants who won't pay. One, military veteran, Brandy Lacasse, claimed that she and her young daughter are forced to live out of their car, unable to evict non-paying tenants from her property in Rhinebeck, New York. Yeah, I covered that story in another one of my videos, and it's a sad situation when you have a landlord who owns a property but can't remove the tenant so that she can move into it herself with her family because of the eviction moratorium. And that's it. That's the only real reason that's holding her up right now. Okay, so yeah, she needs to sue. They need to get this whole thing thrown out. I'm hoping that it gets up to the Supreme Court. and gets basically torn apart just like the previous New York State eviction moratorium was. So yeah, I mean, good. It's good that they're doing this. I wish they had done it about a month ago when she put the actual New York State eviction moratorium into place. They should have immediately sued. I don't know why they waited so long before this case came out. It doesn't really make much sense at all to me. The New York legislation was intended to address a U.S. Supreme Court ruling in August striking down a federal program that would have provided protection to people who couldn't pay their rent. The landlords claim the extension conflicts with the Supreme Court ruling. The case is Chrysafis versus Marks, U.S. District Court, Eastern District of New York. Yeah, and I've mentioned it before. I agree with the landlords who say that there weren't enough changes to the new New York State eviction moratorium to make it not conflict with the Supreme Court's ruling, which is why this needs to get back to the Supreme Court. It doesn't make any sense at all to me that they would put something in place that basically is nearly identical to the previous ruling where they decided that, hey, this New York State eviction moratorium isn't lawful. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense at all.